This is a case series of ocular manifestations of COVID-19 infection that were treated at Apollo hospitals in Hyderabad. Several ocular manifestations have been described. Importantly, virus has been detected in the tears and the normal ocular surface of COVID-19 infected patients, which indicates that ocular surface could serve as a portal of entry as well as reservoir for viral transmission. Now, of the ocular case series that were treated at Apollo Health City in Hyderabad, the cases could be broadly divided as those which are secondary infections due to the immunosuppression caused by the COVID-19 and its treatment, or neuro-ophthalmic manifestations which are multifactorial and could be due to the viral invasion, or due to treatment-specific adverse effects. Now, this was a 46-year-old male who presented with right eye vision drop, pain, and redness for 4 weeks that started while he was on treatment for his COVID infection. He was also on steroids that led to steroid induced diabetes at the time of his infection. When we saw him, he had a hypopyon and fulminant vitreous exudates, which were ball like in appearance. And we thought this was a fungal endophthalmitis. He was treated with intravitreal voriconazole, amphotericin B, vancomycin, and amikacin at the end of the vitrectomy. And we saw a lot of vitreous exudates over the retina in the 6 o'clock position. Post-operatively, he was kept on oral voriconazole for 6 weeks and ciprofloxacin for 2 weeks and has resolved completely at 6 weeks with good visual recovery. We also have a lady with choroidal abscess and vitreous involvement, multiple abdominal abscesses, and all these have started during her COVID infection, which resolved 4 weeks back. She also developed steroid induced diabetes, and we have just started her evaluation and management. There is only one case report of endogenous endophthalmitis reported in apollomedicine.org. Interestingly, we saw a patient with retinitis when he was referred to us for routine fundus screening because he had candidemia during his COVID infection. He also had candida-related renal infection at this time and was on intravenous fluconazole. When we saw him, vision was only 2/60 in the right eye and there were multiple retinitis patches in this eye, but not in the other eye. We switched him to systemic voriconazole because that has a better vitreous bioavailability. He was too sick for vitreous surgery or injections. At 2 weeks, the retinitis lesions were less active, but at 6 weeks, they were looking more active. So we, at this time, treated him with intravitreal antifungals and ciprofloxacin. We gave a combination of voriconazole and amphotericin B, but 10 days later, the vitreous is more inflamed with more exudates and he's now scheduled for vitrectomy. Now, candida retinitis has not been reported yet, but all patients with candidemia have been found to have these common risk factors: admission to ICU, central venous catheter, and broad spectrum antibiotics, which was also true for our patient. We had 9 patients with mucormycosis that developed during their COVID infection. They presented to us at 1 to 4 weeks after resolution of their COVID infection. All patients were diabetics and had received intravenous methylprednisolone for their COVID infection. 2 were bilateral. Most had ophthalmoplegia, ptosis. Complete vision loss, which was no PL or only PL, was seen in 5 of these 7 patients. All were treated with antifungal medication, but also 7 required orbital and optic nerve decompression, and 1 required bilateral extended enucleation. 2 of the patients with subnormal vision improved to 6/18 and 6/9, but of those with no PL or only PL, only 1 improved to 6/60, and the others continued to remain blind. There are occasional case reports of mucormycosis. The upper 2 are only a single case reports, and the third one are 4 cases from Bangalore. Now, it is believed that COVID-19 predisposes to fungal infections because there is an overexpression of inflammatory cytokines, as well as there is impaired cell-mediated immunity. And most of the patients who develop fungal infections also have other immunocompromised situations such as transplants, steroid use, tumors, or diabetes. We had two patients with idiopathic intracranial hypertension that developed during their COVID infection. One was a very young lady with headache and blurring of vision and is improving on Diamox and oral steroids. And the other was a 47-year-old male who had very severely reduced vision and papilledema severe enough to cause peripapillary hemorrhages as well as serous detachments of the macula. And he's also improving on Diamox and steroids. Now, headache is a frequent symptom with COVID 19 patients, and a large proportion of these might have raised intracranial pressure, but since they are not investigated, the exact incidence is not known. The pathogenesis of idiopathic intracranial hypertension in COVID 19 is multifactorial and is believed to be related to coagulopathy or cerebral venous sinus thrombosis, sepsis, or toxicity of medication. We had two patients that presented with bilateral optic neuritis that developed during their COVID infection. One was a 56-year-old male with vision of 6 by 36 each eye. Color vision was defective and there was cecocentral scotomas. Discs looked healthy at this time. He was treated with intravenous methylprednisolone for 5 days, followed by oral steroids for 4 weeks. However, there was only subjective visual improvement, but no objective improvement, and the discs developed some pallor at 6 weeks. There was a young lady with bilateral optic neuritis who improved spontaneously. There are occasional case reports of optic neuritis associated with COVID-19 infection. We also had a case of partial third cranial nerve palsy in a young lady who had an infarct in the midbrain at the level of superior colliculus, and all these had developed during her COVID infection. So there are case reports of third cranial nerve and sixth cranial nerve palsy developing during COVID-19 infection. And the pathogenesis could be direct virus invasion, inflammatory factors, secondary to neurological complications, or hypoxia. Now, we had a patient who developed systemic aspergillosis during his COVID infection, but he had multiple visual complaints of 3 to 4 weeks duration. And his ocular evaluation as well as investigations including color vision and perimetry were normal. So we reached a diagnosis of voriconazole-induced visual symptoms which are reversible, and he improved on reducing the dose of voriconazole. We had two young ladies in their 20s who developed central serous chorioretinopathy while they were on steroids for COVID infection, and these resolved spontaneously. What we did not see was conjunctivitis related to COVID infection or retinal microangiopathy or central retinal artery occlusions, which are more commonly reported in the literature. Thank you very much.